Stop scrolling for a second. If you have a Canadian 5-cent coin dated 2004, sitting somewhere in an old coin collection, drawer, or even a forgotten jar, don't spend it just yet. Because today, we're taking a very close look at this small Canadian coin and answering one big question. Is this ordinary 5-cent coin actually worth more than its face value? At first glance, it looks like just another common coin. It has the famous Canadian beaver on the reverse, the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the other side, and the date 2004. But here's where things get interesting. There were different versions and finishes associated with the 2004 Canadian 5-cent denomination, and collectors don't look at the date alone. They look at the condition, variety, composition, finish, and possible mint errors. So, could your 2004 Canadian 5 cents be worth a few cents? A few dollars? Or potentially much more if it turns out to be a special example? Stay with me until the end, because we're going to examine exactly what you should look for before deciding what your coin is worth. Let's start with the basics. The coin we're looking at today is a Canadian 5-cent coin dated 2004. Canada's 5-cent coin is one of the country's most recognizable denominations. And there is one feature that immediately stands out on the reverse: the beaver. You'll also see the denomination, the word Canada, and the year 2004 around the design. On the opposite side is the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, along with the inscription associated with Canada's coinage. So if you're checking a coin from your own collection, the first things you want to confirm are very simple. Look for the word Canada. Look for 5 cents. And most importantly, check the date. If it says 2004, you've got the coin we're discussing today. But identifying the coin is only the beginning. The real question is, what version do you actually have? And that's where things become much more interesting. One of the most recognizable features of this coin is the beaver. But why did Canada put a beaver on its 5-cent coin? The answer goes back to Canadian history. The beaver played an important role in Canada's early fur trade and became a powerful symbol associated with the country's history. That's why the animal eventually became part of Canada's coinage. The beaver design has appeared on Canadian 5-cent coins for generations. And that makes this little coin instantly recognizable to collectors around the world. Look closely at the reverse. You'll see the beaver sitting on a log, surrounded by the inscriptions and the denomination. The design may look simple, but this is actually one of the most famous designs in Canadian numismatic history. And there's another interesting detail. The beaver design was created by Canadian artist G. E. Kruger Gray, whose work appears on several Canadian coins. So every time you see this little animal on a Canadian 5-cent coin, you're actually looking at a design with a long history behind it. Now let's flip the coin over. On the obverse, we see the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. This portrait was used on Canadian circulation coins during this period. Around the portrait, you'll notice the traditional inscription, Elizabeth II DG Regina. For someone who isn't familiar with coin collecting, these letters might not seem very important. But for collectors, inscriptions and small design differences can sometimes help identify different issues or varieties. That's why you should never examine a collectible coin from only one side. Always check both sides. Look at the lettering. Look at the date. Look at the portrait. Look at the rim. And look for anything that appears unusual. Sometimes a tiny difference that most people completely ignore can be the exact feature that makes a coin interesting to collectors. But remember, unusual doesn't automatically mean valuable. We need to determine whether a difference is an actual mint variety or simply damage that happened after the coin left the mint. Now let's talk about the physical specifications. The regular 2004 Canadian 5-cent circulation issue is listed as a copper-plated steel coin. Its standard weight is approximately 3.95 grams. The diameter is approximately 21.2 millimeters, with a thickness of around 1.76 millimeters. And here's something interesting. Because the regular issue contains steel, it is magnetic. That means a basic magnet test can give you a useful clue when identifying the regular circulation version. But here's an important warning. If your coin sticks to a magnet, that doesn't automatically make it rare. In fact, magnetic behavior is expected for the regular steel-based issue. The best way to examine a potentially valuable coin is to compare its weight, dimensions, design, and composition against reliable references. Small differences can happen because of wear, damage, measurement equipment, or environmental conditions. So treat these tests as identification clues, not as proof of rarity. Now we come to one of the most important numbers in coin collecting: mintage. In other words, how many coins were actually produced? For the regular 2004 Canadian 5-cent circulation issue, reported mintage figures are around 132 million coins. That's a huge number. And this immediately tells us something important. There were millions of them. This is one of the biggest mistakes people make when watching viral coin videos online. They see a coin from a certain year. They hear an enormous price, and they assume every coin from that year is worth the same amount. That's not how coin collecting works. A coin can have a relatively common date and still become interesting because of its condition, variety, error, or special finish. So when you see someone claiming that every 2004 Canadian 5-cent coin is worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, be careful. So let's answer the question everyone is waiting for. How much is a normal 2004 Canadian 5-cent coin worth? For a circulated example in ordinary condition, the collector value is generally not dramatically higher than its face value. And that may sound disappointing. But here's the important part. Coins are not valuable simply because they're old. A coin's potential value can depend on several factors: its condition, its rarity, its variety, its minting characteristics, its demand among collectors, and whether there is actual market evidence supporting a higher price. For example, published Canadian coin price guides show that ordinary circulated examples can remain around the face value level, while higher-grade uncirculated examples can bring substantially more. Some high-grade examples listed in price guides can reach into the tens of Canadian dollars, depending on grade and issue. But don't confuse a guide value with a guaranteed selling price. A coin listed at a certain value doesn't mean someone will automatically pay that amount for your individual coin. Actual prices can vary. That's why serious collectors look at comparable sales and professional grading rather than relying on a single number from the internet. Now let's talk about one of the biggest factors affecting collectible coins: condition. Imagine two identical 2004 Canadian 5-cent coins. Same date. Same design. Same denomination. But one coin has been circulating for years. It has scratches. It has contact marks. The details are worn. The surface has lost some of its original appearance. The second coin, however, has been carefully stored and shows extremely little evidence of circulation. Are these two coins necessarily worth the same? No. This is where coin grading becomes extremely important. Collectors use grades to describe the condition of a coin. Circulated coins can have significant wear, while coins in mint state condition have not experienced normal circulation wear. As the grade becomes higher, the coin can become much more desirable. So if you have a 2004 Canadian 5-cent coin, don't just ask, "What year is it?" Ask, "What condition is it in?" That question could make a major difference. Now we reach the part that gets collectors really excited: mint errors. During the manufacturing process, coins can occasionally be struck with unusual characteristics. And genuine mint errors can be highly collectible. But here's where you need to be extremely careful. A scratch is not necessarily an error. Damage from another coin, machinery, or years of circulation is not automatically a mint error either. A genuine mint error generally has characteristics connected to the actual minting process. That's why experienced collectors carefully examine the entire coin. They look at the lettering, the date, the rim, the portrait, the beaver, the alignment, the strike, and the overall shape and surface. If you notice something unusual on your 2004 5-cent coin, don't immediately clean it or polish it. Cleaning a collectible coin can actually reduce its desirability. Instead, photograph the coin clearly and compare it with reliable references or have it examined by a knowledgeable numismatist. Because sometimes, what looks like an incredible error is simply damage. And now here's something that makes the 2004 Canadian 5-cent story even more interesting. There were special silver-proof versions associated with the 2004 issue. Unlike the regular circulation coin, the silver-proof version had a different composition and was produced specifically for collectors. Published references list the 2004 silver version as approximately 92.5% silver and 7.5% copper, with a weight of about 5.35 grams. And the reported quantity sold was only around 57,614 pieces. Compare that with more than 132 million regular circulation coins. And you can immediately see why identifying the exact version matters. But please don't make this mistake. Not every 2004 Canadian 5-cent coin is silver. A normal circulation coin should not suddenly be classified as a silver proof just because it has the date 2004. You need to verify the specifications. Weight, finish, design, and provenance if available. So if someone tells you that your ordinary 2004 nickel is automatically a silver coin, don't take that claim at face value. Check the evidence first. There's another interesting detail about the year 2004. This commemorative issue has a different reverse design from the normal circulation 5-cent coin. That's extremely important. Because if you're searching through a collection and you find a 2004 5-cent coin that doesn't look exactly like the regular beaver design, don't assume it's damaged. It could be a different issue. This is why exact identification is so important in coin collecting. Two coins can share the same year and denomination, but have completely different collector characteristics. So whenever you're researching a coin, don't search only 2004 Canada 5 cents value. Try to identify the exact design and issue first. That one step can prevent a lot of confusion. So, if you have a 2004 Canadian 5-cent coin at home, here's a simple checklist. Number 1, check the date. Make sure it actually says 2004. Number 2, check the design. Is it the normal beaver reverse, or does it have a commemorative design? Number 3, check the weight. A regular circulation example should be around 3.95 grams. Number 4, check the condition. Look for wear, scratches, contact marks, and damage. And number 5, look for unusual characteristics. Check the lettering. Check the date. Check the rim. Check the portrait. Check the beaver. And compare anything unusual against trustworthy coin references. Don't clean the coin before doing your research. And don't scratch, scrape, or modify it to test whether something is an error. If you believe you found something unusual, preserve the coin exactly as you found it and get a second opinion. Before we reveal our final verdict, there's one warning every coin collector should hear. The internet is full of videos claiming this 5-cent coin is worth $10,000. Or, check your pocket change, you could be rich. Sometimes those stories are based on real rare coins. But the problem is that people often take the value of one exceptional example and apply it to millions of ordinary coins. That's misleading. A coin's value depends on the exact coin, the exact variety, the exact condition, and the actual collector market. So if you see an unbelievable price online, don't immediately assume your coin is worth that amount. Ask, was this the same variety? Was it professionally graded? Was that price actually achieved in a sale? And most importantly, is your coin really the same type? Those questions can save you from believing unrealistic coin value claims. So, what's the final verdict on the 2004 Canadian 5 cents? If you have a normal circulated example, it is generally not an extremely rare or extremely expensive coin simply because it says 2004. The regular issue had a very large mintage. However, that doesn't mean every 2004 5-cent coin should be ignored. High-grade examples can be more interesting to collectors. Special proof and silver issues exist. There was also a commemorative 1944 to 2004 issue. And genuine mint errors or unusual varieties can potentially make an individual coin much more desirable. So before you throw that little Canadian nickel into a jar, take a closer look. Check the date. Check the design. Check the condition. Check the weight. And most importantly, identify the exact version. Because sometimes the difference between an ordinary coin and a collectible coin isn't obvious at first glance. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 2004 Canadian 5-cent coin, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more fascinating coin discoveries. And I want to know something from you. Do you have a Canadian 5-cent coin in your collection? If you do, tell me the year and condition in the comments. And who knows? Maybe your coin will be the subject of our next investigation. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you in the next coin discovery.